Hi, my name is Christian Dean. I'm a zoological manager here at the Oakland Zoo. I've been here for about 3 years and spent quite a while at the San Diego Zoo before this and Zoo Miami before that.
Wow, so you're no stranger to the zoo.
Correct. The zoo game, I've been in it for quite some time, for over 20 years now.
Amazing. All right, I just want to kick this off with just asking some questions for you and just answer them as you see fit. Thank you for taking this interview again.
My pleasure, Justin.
What has Oakland Zoo done to make sure each primate is well suited to their zoo home?
Well, that's a really good question because, it is very important that we take into consideration each animal, each species, their natural history. What does this animal need to thrive out in the wild in their natural habitats? And that's what we then try to mimic here at the zoo. So for some of the primates like the siamang or the tamarin, it's all about those are both very arboreal species of primates. So it's about making sure there are a lot of perching and a lot of natural pathways that they can use that's going to allow them to live that arboreal lifestyle and spend most of their time up in the trees or up off the ground. So that's really what's important, is doing the research to know what the animals will naturally have and then trying to replicate that.
So a lot of these structures that I see, they're all built for the specific primate that they house.
Absolutely. I mean, some of them can be a little bit generic in terms of most animals will need somewhere where they can get away from the weather. Maybe find a sunny spot where they can sit in the sun and warm themselves up. So there are some things that are universal to all primates or most animals, but then there are things that are more specific to the individual species.
Now, I see a lot of primates at the zoo as I wandered on through the maze we got here. Are the primates at the Oakland Zoo raised in captivity, or were they raised in the wild?
Just actually every primate that we have here at the zoo currently has been born and raised in captivity. We no longer generally take species out of the wild. That is a practice that is a bit outdated in the zoo world. The only times that we generally will take an animal from the wild is when they are extremely, when their numbers are so low that perhaps that country or region where they're from is actively trying to get zoos and other professional institutions to house those animals, breed them in a sort of a breeding and release program, and then release new ones back out into the wild to increase numbers. So that's really the only time that we'll pull animals out of the wild, but currently we don't have any programs like that. So all of our primates here have been born and bred in captivity.
That's amazing. I just know it's kind of a problem that when animals get taken from their wild surroundings, that they sometimes don't do as well.
That's right. Absolutely. It can be a very hard adjustment period for them. And if they're an animal that has been born and raised out in the wild, it can be a difficult transition into captivity. And so that's something that we are very mindful of, very careful of. And again, goes back to us trying to study and know as much as we can about their natural history and mimic that for them so that the transition can be as easy as possible. But in general, like I said, right now we don't have any that were born in the wild, so that's not a problem that we have to deal with.
Sweet. Do primates raised in captivity tend to be a bit bigger or smaller than their wild counterparts?
That's a really good question, and actually I would say that animals in the wild are not or animals in captivity rather, they're not bigger in terms of their body size, they're not bigger in terms of their bone length, but their girth may be bigger and their body condition might be a little different than their wild counterparts. And that's because when these animals are in captivity, they have access to all of the resources. They have access to a great balanced diet every day that they don't have to search very far or forage for. So they don't have to exert a whole lot of energy to go find that food. It's just delivered to them. And also they have great healthcare, and so they are always in peak health and doing well, and therefore they're going to eat more, and their body condition is going to be a little bit different. So no, there isn't really a difference in terms of size, but if you think about their girth or their body condition, some might be hold their weight a little bit different than their wild counterparts, but in general there's no difference in size.
Got it. Now, I know you're the main man when it comes to the primates. Now, do you have a favorite species of primate that you love to work around?
It's that's a hard question to answer. It's a bit like being a teacher. You can't ever really have a favorite student. You're supposed to like all of your students the same. But that being said, I do love working with the chimpanzees. They're so smart. They're so intelligent. The Siamang are very similar as well. They're just so intelligent, and they teach us so much about themselves and a little bit about humanity in general and about animals and nature. And it's a very humbling experience to work with them because they are so intelligent and such social creatures.
I was over there earlier just observing them, and they seem to be very social with not only one another but toward people as well.
Absolutely, especially some of these animals that have been born and raised in captivity. They're very used to people looking at them. They're very used to people caring for them, and so there isn't that fair response, and which is good because this is their home and we want them to be comfortable at all times.
Awesome. I know that Oakland Zoo back in 2020 during COVID had experienced a little bit of a hardship. How has Oakland Zoo rebounded since that time?
And that's a great question, Justin. Thank you. The whole world really went through it in 2020 for COVID, and we were no different. At this time, we have recovered. That being said, we're always trying to build up our reserves so that if an emergency ever hits, if we ever run into another pandemic, we have some money stored away in the bank to be able to keep functioning, keep taking care of all of our animals and all of our employees. So thankfully, we've had a lot of support from the community, and so we are doing pretty good. Like I said, we've recovered at this point, but still always trying to build up our reserves.
I'm glad that the Oakland Zoo has recovered. You guys are the main force as far as the name of conservation goes with animals, and I'm very glad that we still have an Oakland Zoo to go to.
I appreciate that.
Now, what challenges does Oakland Zoo face, and what could be done to resolve those challenges?
I would say that the biggest challenge facing Oakland Zoo right now is funding. We're a 501c nonprofit business, and so we're always fundraising because really our only source of true revenue is from our ticket sales. So we rely a lot on fundraising and our community and lots of gracious donors to help us be able to do our mission.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time and your effort.
I appreciate you coming out to the zoo and having some great questions about all of our animal friends, and I was glad I was able to sit down and have a minute with you.
It's been a pleasure.